Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Collaborate and Pull Together, a podcast where we highlight all things positive on and off the arm wrestling table. Thank you for everybody and anybody tuning in. Tonight we have some special guests joining us. In a few moments, we're going to be bringing on screen Tim Tallmadge of ArmSports Entertainment out in Washington and Arizona. This man's been a big, integral part of arm wrestling, its growth, its expansion all across the nation, as well as international waters as well. And then later on, we're going to have Matt Baez of Florida with his positive process concepts, sharing some positivity and how we can maintain that in our lives. And as usual, Steve Fernandez of a New YORK Tri-state Armwrestling will be joining us. And here we go. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Welcome.
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. I just got to work on my side on the thing with my audio because my laptop needs a replacement. So just give me one moment. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, it looks like I'm frozen on my end. Am I frozen on your end?
It's fuzzy on my side, but give me 1 second. It's only because of my computer. Hope everybody's doing all right. All right, much better. How's that out?
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you and everything on my end. It's just frozen.
Oh, it's frozen. Oh, that's weird. I don't know why it's frozen on your end. Got got a great expression on your face right there right now, man. I hope someone takes a screenshot of that one and saves it for later.
Oh, Jesus.
Maybe if you want to back out completely, log
Yeah.
out completely, and come back in. All right. While he's doing that, just give a little bit of a big shout out to Tim. Tim. Oh, let's see. I think we got him back.
Oh, man. This is bad.
Oh no.
I'm just going to do it from my phone. Give me a second.
I think that's a good idea. Try it with your phone. It might be the best. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Tim a few years back. I ran over to the Olympia, one of my first out-of-state events that I went to. That was amazing. Really good experience. Met a lot of cool people. Was hanging out with the likes of Artem Taranenko. Got to meet the Drew 24. I'm sure many of you have seen and met him on the screen here in the chats. There he is. How's it going, man?
Good. How's
Can
it
you hear
going?
me?
Yeah. You hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. Just going over where I met you for the first time, which was over at the Olympia 2022, I think it was, in Vegas.
Yeah.
Over at the Venetian. And I got to play the fifth wheel hanging out with you, your wife, Artem, and his lady. And we went to Harmonic Village.
That's right.
That was an epic time, epic experience. Still very, very much etched in my mind. You guys showed me some great hospitality because I went there without knowing anybody.
Right.
I knew not a soul down there, but you guys took me under your wing. Treated me as part of the crew. I felt great. I loved it. Thank you for that. It definitely left a lasting energy that I would still want to be a part of this community to this day.
Yeah. No, that was a great time. That was awesome.
So, for those of you who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about your background with arm wrestling, promoting, and ArmSports Entertainment.
Well, what I'm going on next year be 19 years in the sport. Started a long time ago. Um, whole pretty much my whole life. Didn't start promoting till like 2016, where things were just falling off in Washington. The guys that were running it just decided not to do it no more. They did it for 20 some years, and so we didn't really have anything for a couple of years. And I was like, man, I wish there was a Washington State again. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna throw a tournament. And I started throwing tournaments and shit, haven't looked back. Started ArmSports Entertainment, and it's just kind of taken off from there. You know, then we started, selling merch and all that good stuff. And at the same time, when I started doing that, I started reffing. So I'm coming up on 10 years of reffing. Um, but yeah, it's been great. It's been a hell of a ride. It's taken me across the world, and it's got to meet all these great people. It's been awesome.
So, pulling or reffing, which would you say has gotten you to a higher level or highest level of experience wise by way of caliber of pullers, international waters? What would you say is has been like the catapult for you?
For sure, reffing. I mean, from the likes of King of the Table, East versus West. I mean, we've never seen something like that. And just, I was the first American referee to ref East versus West, and the second one to ref King of the Table. I still ref currently King of the Table. I'll be out there next month refing another one. So I think this will be my fifth one. No, it's awesome. I mean, it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, I'm looking forward to many more things that we have coming up. Only getting better.
That's awesome, man. And so I gotta ask because I personally I don't like reffing. I don't
Mhm.
like it at all. As a puller, I hate it. What about reffing intrigued you enough to sit there and say this is something I want to pursue and I want to chase after it? Like, what about it?
Well, I mean, so back like 2000, like 17 ish, 16, I was dealing with injuries from the WAL. Um, but I just felt like I was missing out on going to these things, but I couldn't go because I was injured. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna pay to go out, and it's cool to hang out with the friends. I did it a couple times, but I was like, man, I'm gonna start refing. And then it just kind of took off from there. How I could be more involved and hell get paid to do it, and which nobody ever really makes money. You spend it while you're there on food and whatever else, Uber rides, but still, it was like, and essentially, I was getting paid to hang out with my friends, and so it's just one thing led to another. I started getting better at it, finding my own ways, talking to the right people who have done it for 30 years refing and learning different ways to ref. Um, and it's just taking me to where I am now.
Now, when it comes to being an arm wrestler, did becoming a ref help your game on the table?
For sure. I mean, like I said, I battled back in the day with some of the best in the Northwest between Jacob Abbott, Herman McCoy, and Alan Bone. The list goes on. And I think that I kind of had a period where I slowed down and I just really just refed, but I still pulled for fun, and still was
Yeah.
able to ruin someone's day. Um, but it wasn't until this recent couple of years where started going international and refing, and the whole time just picking people's brains and pulling with Ermies on a table, just learning some stuff that I really changed up the way that I pulled, and it's kind of given me the niche again to get back out there. And then this past year was one of the best years I've ever had. Beating Jordan Still, beating Josh Miller, beating Eric Wolf. I mean, I
Oof.
had a very good year, and so I decided to take it serious again. We started a nice team, a nice club here in Arizona that we battle every week with, and I'm just getting better. I think next year for me, polling is going to be a good year.
So you mentioned Arizona. I know you're saying in Washington State as well. How do these two worlds collide? I'm curious to see like how because it's pretty far, geographically. One's in the northwest, the other one's in the southwest. How is that happening?
I lived in the Northwest my whole life in Vancouver, Washington. That's where I started ArmSports Entertainment. But we moved in 2019, right before the pandemic. Uh, right before it was getting ready to hit, I didn't want to be locked down and everything. So we sold the business, sold the house, and moved to Arizona where we could still live a normal life. And so when I got down here, the tournaments were really slow, and I wasn't ever planning on putting on anything here. And everybody asked me, like, can you please put on an Arizona State Championship, this and that? And then next thing you know, we started taking off here, and it's grown to be one of the best tournaments in the United States, international pullers wise. So
It's got a huge one of the biggest draws. I've been wanting to get myself down there. Being from the Northeast, it's definitely on the other side of the nation for me to get there. One of these days, I'll make it happen. One
yeah,
of
there
these
you go.
days.
You got it. It's
One,
it's it's
it's
fun, man. It's more than arm wrestling. That's what I tell people. If you can make it out, it's not one day with Washington. It's not one day with Arizona. It's like 3 to 5 days. I mean, people come and we just have a good time. We go explore Arizona. We do the pool party. It's in Washington. We do a bunch of stuff. I get a big Airbnb, and it's my hometown, so I get to take everybody out for couple days. So it's more than just arm wrestling. It's the brotherhood. It's the after stuff that matters.
I mean, if I got a glimpse of that going to the Hallmark Village with you guys, like, and that's what you do that kind of lifestyle for like 3 or 4 days. That's pretty epic, man.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
pretty
a lot
epic
of
stuff.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Um, so, all right, who was your biggest inspiration? I guess this is a couple parts by way of pulling, by way of promoting, and then by way of refing. Or if there's one person that does it all for you, by all means, shout them out.
Yeah, I mean, for polling wise, obviously John back in the day and still to this day, but just the Northwest guys between the Mackin brothers, Alan Bone, Jacob Abbott, Herman McCoy, um, Sammy Hadabar, what is it, Steve Phipps, the first ever Triple Crown winner, 30 some odd time world champion. It's growing up with those guys in your hometown, your home state, I should say. But getting to pull those guys has been awesome. When it came down to promoting and refing, promoting would be Jacob Abba as well because he's the one that gave me the rings for Washington. But um, in a nutshell, it's Bill Collins. I learned everything from refing from Bill. He's the one that got me into refing. At one of his tournaments, he needed a guide. I said, I'll fill in. And I learned everything I know from him. And so when
It's a
it
good
comes
man
to
to learn
refing,
from.
yeah, refing and promoting pretty much would be Bill Collins in the UAL. So
Very, very nice. I had the pleasure of meeting him when I went down to Olympia. He's a great dude, really nice guy, very friendly. He gifted me a jersey for networking with him with another outside entity, which was cool.
nice.
Um, so we got a couple of questions in the chat. We got Murphy who's saying, "Good for you, Tim. A great ref, by the way."
Thank you, sir.
Shouting you out. He wants to know what your training schedule looks like.
So nowadays it's like 2 times on the table, once or twice on the table a week. We just started, I host a practice at my office um, once a week with the guys, and then we have a bunch of machines in there. So we do like a circuit training, and then we do
Okay.
like a king of the table and stuff like that. A lot of pulley systems, a lot of grip training, rice bucket, hand grips, pronator machine, stuff like that. And then we get on the table with a lot of band workouts and um, like to I like to work on a lot of negative stuff on the table, the negative side to work your way to a positive side. I think it
Okay.
works really good. But yeah, a couple times a week there.
That's freaking awesome. Big shout out to the other people watching. Elohiste1 from New York City's checking in. What's up, man? Got JJ Jackson from Mac checking in, saying what's up. Thank you guys for tuning in. Anybody else who's got any questions for Tim, please feel free to post it in the chat. I'll go ahead and ask them as I naturally can.
Yeah.
Um, Now, you've been in arm wrestling for almost 20 years now, right? How has it influenced your overall life journey?
I mean, I've got to travel pretty much everywhere in the United States. Almost too much nowadays. I mean, it is too much. I got to calm down a little bit. But it's like one of those things where like you don't plan on doing something, and then you get a call, and you're like, yeah, why not? What's back to back weekends, and then it turns into 4 weekends in a row, and next thing you know, I think I've been home 6 weekends this year. So definitely going to calm down next year and focus more on just the bigger tournaments, to ref those, and then the bigger super matches pretty much, and then just do more of me and Arm Sports Entertainment and my polling pretty much next year.
Got it. That is, traveling is something actually I used to do for work. I was on the road about 27, 30 weeks out of the year. So I can relate to not being home or not what it feels like to be home for any length of time. Sometimes I would go back to weeks where I would just travel across the country. I liked it, but I do miss it. I do miss that travel. So that's one of the things that I love. Like, hey, there's a place in Washington I can go pull. Hey, there's a place in Arizona that I can go pull
Yeah.
at. Like states I've actually been to already, but I would love to go back to. Now I have more of an excuse than ever.
Yeah,
Be
and that's kind of how I was. Like, I have a bunch of family in Florida, so like I always plan when I go to Florida, 4 or 5 times a year if there's a tournament going on, try to double dip out there. So that's always fun. But yeah, no, I mean this next year should be pretty cool. Like me and Corey Miller are gonna do some tournaments again together, and try to just ramp up what he's doing with Aries and what I'm doing with Arm Sports Entertainment, and try to bring like a little circuit of events to pay out some good money, and get people's scores up. Some cool things we have planned out. So there should be a lot more events that we're gonna do next year between Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and Colorado, which would be really nice.
That's a nice little triangle, a little trifecta you got going on
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
Definitely, because there's a lot of similarities in each of those states. I've been to each of them, and a lot of differences as well. So I happen to I'm excited because actually my sister lives in Colorado. So if there's something in Colorado, that's another. You got to stop putting all these great events, man. Because I got to, there's only enough time that
Yeah.
I can travel to. But there's always the years afterwards. I plan on being around for as long as my body will allow me to. I am only just hit 4 years in September, so I,
Mhm.
I I plan on being here for the next few decades. At least.
Yeah.
um, we do have another question. What do you enjoy more now that you're back into arm wrestling? Do you enjoy reffing or do you enjoy arm wrestling more?
I mean, I always enjoy polling better. Because it's always when I get it when I finally decide to do it, it's normally like the morning of where say I'm refing something, I'm like, oh, I'll just pull. It has to be that niche again, and I lost it for a long time, and I'm trying to get that niche back to where I always love refing, but like the polling's just starting to overwhelm me again. That I look forward to polling again, and that's what makes it special. I lost that for a long time where I didn't really care to poll anymore, and then now that I got my team going and they're pushing me to do more things, and then you get that one big win that goes, okay, now who's the next guy? Now I'm like, okay, we'll see what we can do here. So
Absolutely, man. That question was asked by actually a new guy that I have on the team. His name's Dan Centrella. He's somebody I think you might be having in your weight class at some point as he gets more developed. He's a bodybuilder. He loves being behind the camera, so he sometimes gets torn between being those two worlds, being behind the camera and actually pulling.
yeah.
He loves both of them, but I could say based off of what I've seen, the man loves to pull more than he likes to do anything else, and that's how I am. I love to pull. I love to coach. I love being on the table. There's nothing that replaces it. It's therapy for me.
Right. No, it's awesome, and especially when you have that itch to be better, and I think once I won these couple super matches throughout the year, and then I got the call to pull East versus West in Southeast Asia in February. That's really what really sparked me, and I've been training hard for that. I've gained a lot of weight training, so now I got to go on this diet to get the weight off because I've been training. But I was sitting like, I don't know, 215, feeling good, and now I'm like 237. So I got to get back down, which is hard throughout the holidays. But
Oh
no,
yeah. Definitely a rough time of year to be doing that.
Yeah, but when you get that call, and you don't say no, and that should be a pretty big event and a lot of fun. So
That's definitely gonna be exciting. That's so cool. I love that about these events that are popping up now. Like you mentioned earlier, I put the link up as well. Right now, we got King of the Table coming to the States. It's going to
man,
be right here in my own backyard. It's going to be hanging out in Atlantic City. If you click on this link or take a screenshot of this QR code, it will take you to the live and pay-per-view links to go ahead and secure. Check those out. It's going to be amazing matches. Amazing.
I'm telling you what, right now, if you guys are in the tri-state area and you're not there in person, I don't know what you're doing. This thing is gonna be special. Like I think I'm coming in on Wednesday. I'm there for like 5 days to help out with a bunch of other back end stuff. But um, man, whoever anybody, you tell them to show up because the bigger we make this thing, the better it is. We're gonna see a lot more here,
Oh yeah.
and that's going to be very special. It's going to open the doors for a lot of North American pullers that if they have more of them here than in Dubai or whatever, it's going to give a lot of opportunities. So whatever we can do to not only buy the pay per view but show up in person is going to be huge for this event, and I think we can do it. I don't see how we can't surpass Orlando of 1,000 people in the building.
I think I'm going to tell you right now, about 80% of my team is actually committed to it already. We're all going to be showing up in as a squad. I'm definitely looking forward to going. Close to home. It's only 2 hours away from my house, and that's what I consider. That's definitely close enough to make a big deal out of getting there. And I want to tell everybody that I train with, everybody who watches that's on Long Island, please make sure, even if you're just a spectator of the sport,
Yeah.
this is the event you want to be a part of. This is the event you want to be present for. If you can't physically be present, or if this ticket's sold out, because I think they're going to, I think I give it by the end of the next week. To be honest with you, it's going to be all sold out by the
Yeah.
pay-per-view.
And I think another cool thing about it too, like where people worry about having to travel and spend money on hotels and this and that. I believe the thing starts at like 1 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the same as in Florida. So you got time to drive there in the morning and drive home at night if you please. It's not like a late night thing to where you're gonna you know drive home at 2 o'clock in the morning type of thing. So that always helps for a lot of people who want to come in for the day. It's very possible.
Absolutely. I mean, but not for nothing. I don't know if you've been to Atlantic City. It's a place to stay. It's a East Coast Vegas. So people are gonna want to crash and stay at the hotels. They're gonna make a weekend out of it. Hey, listen, let's recoup some of that Christmas money that we're all shelling out, right?
Right? No kidding. That's right.
Hit up some casinos but make some bets on. I mean, yeah, some of the biggest stars in the fitness world, not just arm wrestling, but we got Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall coming down. That's
Yeah.
going to be an amazing crowd drawing event, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be just massive itself. But the simple fact that LeBron's pulling in the United States against our
Oh
home
my
guys,
God, yes,
like if to be there in person, I'm telling you, it's going to be electrifying. If anybody went to Orlando, they know that place was insane. Like I've been to a lot of KOTs, I've been to a lot of East versus West. There was nothing like it. The atmosphere, the intensity, the live mics, the live commentating where you heard him over the loudspeakers commentating. It was awesome.
definitely. Like I can't wait. I can't wait for that event. But before we get too far forward in what's happening next month, um, too far into next month, just the week before, you're having another event, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You're
Washington
gonna
State Championships is December 7th, it's a massive event. And then we have a huge super match card on Friday night. So we're kind of splitting it up, and we got like three different events. So we got a full super match card of 6 matches on Friday night, starting at 7 o'clock right after weigh-ins. And then leading up to the morning on Saturday morning, we have the Aries Super Series, the 198. which starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. So that's the whole time during weigh-ins again. And then we have the actual tournament that will kick off around 1 o'clock.
That's amazing. I actually have the link for the pay-per-view. Listen, guys, you want to see this sport grow. You want to see events like this happening. You want the future of the sport to be secured. Buy the pay-per-view. I think this one's very inexpensive, and it's what, $7.99 or something like that. Was that
Yeah, $6.99 maybe, something like
six
that.
9? It's under $10, guys. Under
Yeah.
$10. Yeah, y'all spend more at Starbucks, in 2 days' time, or 7-Eleven, whatever it may be, wherever your poison's purchased at. You can invest into this. I would love to see everybody purchasing this and helping it blow out of the park, because this is how we grow the sport. This is right here how we do it.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be awesome, especially that it just helps when you get these big time pullers that come over here from overseas to pull our guys. We want to give our guys the best chance, and that's what I try to do. We have a couple matches that are U.S. based, but most of the matches I try to do are big international matches, so that it gives our guys that spotlight to get the calls to the higher level, and that's what it's all about.
So we got another question from Murphy. Murphy, you asking all the good questions. He lives far away from pullers and he loves the sport, but if he can't train with pullers, what do you recommend for training with heavyweights or more blood flow to get stronger in the sport?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of light weights, more reps. It's a lot of reps, a lot of bands, a lot of repetitions, just a lot of repetitions. Yeah, get yourself a rice bucket, do that thing every day. Even if you don't want to do it, if you spend 3 minutes a day doing it, you'll feel it, and it's way better. It gives you a full arm workout. So yeah, rice bucket for sure, and lots of bands, pulley systems, and just little 25-pound dumbbells. That's all you need.
I couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest with you. I am very much in the same belief system. I actually, when I used those giant buckets from protein powders.
Hmm.
After I finish one of those, I actually have that as my portable rice bucket. I have it sitting in my car seat right next to me as I'm driving. One hand's in the rice bucket, and the
Yeah,
other hand's driving. And then I'll switch it up and I'll put it, in between my legs. It may look a little odd, it may look a little funny, but it gets the job done.
it works. Yeah, yeah. You just find those couple minutes to get it done, and it works good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, other than that training style, what advice would you give to somebody that's just starting out in their sport?
I always say like find a club, but you want to find the right club with the right people, so you get the right training. And I always say to find a seasoned teacher, someone that's been in the league 10 plus years, because they're going to teach you the right way. They're not going to teach you all these different oh, you should do this or you should do that. They're going to teach you the basics first, and I think a lot of people don't learn the basics of arm wrestling, and that's why a lot of people get hurt. There's a lot of people that want to go watch a YouTube video and bang in there like Devin, and that's where you get hurt. So it's fun to watch these things, but when it comes to you pulling, stick to the basics until you know what you're doing.
It's funny you say that. I have a few guys that are like that. I want to pull. I pull like Monster Michael Todd. Like, do you know what he had to do to pull like he pulls right now? Do you know
Yeah,
what years of abuse that he had to go through, and what trial and error things he had to do these things before he got to where he is today?
yeah,
Devin had to do certain things before had to get to where he is today. You know, if you're not, there's no shortcuts in this sport. There is none. And I'm I'm by no means a seasoned puller whatsoever. I just happen to understand body mechanics because I'm a licensed massage therapist. So I understand what the body mechanics are in the sport. Can I coach it to the best of the ability that somebody with your caliber of experience? No, I can't, and nor do I pretend to do so. But I'm going to give them everything I can and say, listen, get your ass to another practice that's got years of more experience than me. I can only give you what I know, and I recommend, picking up, going to tournaments, picking the brains of the guys that are there for many years, decades in the sport, because
hmm
that's where I got good. I picked their brains and I just apply what I learned from them to what I already know about the human body.
Yeah, and I always tell people like you can only pull the same people so many times until you think you have it, but you really don't know until you put yourself out there. So if anybody can travel as much as you can to start out, to
Yep.
pull all these different people and learn. Take the time to ask the pro pullers to teach you little things on the table. Stick around for the after pulls and learn as much as you can, because that's where you're only going to get better.
In all honesty, that's one of my favorite things about tournaments is the after pull. The tournament, yeah, is a great test. It's a great test of where you are, where you stand. But where I've done the majority of my learning is in the after pull, because there's going to be years of experience accessible to you under one roof that you don't have at practices. You don't have it at your regular weekly practices. So if you can get to a tournament, you know, and you're not really quite sure if you're ready to pull, wait till the after pull. Then dip your toe in that way. Check it out, see what's going on, learn something from those guys, and then be like, okay, next tournament, I'll be ready. I have tools available to me now. Especially
Right.
if you don't live close to a club that you can train with regularly. You can get your training exercise and some blueprints, if you may, on what to train on moving forward.
Yep.
Uh-uh. All right, so we actually have another guest here as well, Matt Baez. What's up, man? He's in Florida. Oh, lost his phone. It's all
Yeah.
good. We've all been having technical difficulties today.
You know how that goes.
Welcome to the show, man. Thank you for joining. We're just going over a couple more questions with Tim. Um, so, Tim, I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of things on your plate. I'm so happy you were able to squeeze me in, but I got two more good big questions for you.
Yeah.
What are your short-term goals and long-term goals in the sport?
I mean, short term's to win this match in the Philippines in February.
There you go.
That's the goal right now. Long term is just to keep building my promotion, to make it a home for not only just a tournament, but like something you look forward to bringing your friends and family and having a good time for multiple days and not just one day. Um, that's what we're about. I mean, it's about, that's why we have entertainment in the name. We like to entertain and have fun, and not just like you show up, you pull, and we're like, all right, guys, see you later, and we leave and we don't interact or do nothing. Like, we do pre-parties, after parties, dinners, lunches, exploring. I mean, that's what it's about, and that's what I feel like keeps people coming back. It's not just a normal tournament where everybody's done, they break down and they leave. You're like, well, what are we doing? It's now we interact, we have a lot of fun. So that's the goal, is to keep that moving forward.
That energy and enthusiasm, man, is very much something what attracts me to the sport and keep coming back. Uh, Big shout out to No Team Arm Wrestling of Puerto Rico. Their founders were just up here in New York. I showed them a little bit about my float therapy earlier today, introduced them to that recovery service. But those guys carry that same type of energy. It's all about the entertainment. It's all about the energy. It's all about becoming a brotherhood, a family of sorts. You don't just go to a family party just for the food. You go there to interact with people, right?
Right.
You go for the experience, and that's something that more promoters need to bottle up. More promoters need to sit there and say, "Listen, I can't just put on an arm wrestling match and expect people to show up and be entertained. No, I need more than that. I need more energy behind it and enthusiasm." So I love what you're doing, Tim. I love the energy. I got to experience it firsthand. The camaraderie you bring to the table is of epic proportions. Something that's inspirational. It's given me a lot of pause. Um, a bonus question actually just came to mind. What format of tournament do you prefer to run that you find to be the most entertaining?
What do you mean?
Whether it be double elimination, single elimination, double elimination, no elimination. Um, what do you find to be the best style to run?
Just the normal double elimination. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a old school guy. I'm not a fan of all these new rules and this and that. I mean, that's just not what got me to love the sport. not dissing any of them, not saying some are not good, not saying some are not bad, but I think that some get carried away. People want to say, "Oh, we're going to do this so we can hurry up and be done with the tournament faster." I don't want that. I want
Nice.
the normal stuff, and when it gets done, it gets done. I'm not trying to, because when you do that, you're teaching again amateurs a different way that we learned how to arm wrestle.
Yeah.
And so then they're going to be accustomed to this. Or, what if people?
That rush process,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to feel rushed like you just paid 30, 40, $50 for an entry fee, and it got so rushed and you're out of there in 3 hours. But again, nobody wants to be there for 9, 10 hours. I get that. But there's a happy medium there if you have the right amount of tables and the right staff, which every promoters lack nowadays. They want to have their buddies ref, or they want to try to run brackets, and then things get messed up. And I think that's what kind of lowers our sport a little bit. That it's not professional, and that's what we're trying to
Mm,
be. And if you can't run an efficient tournament, you shouldn't be running tournaments. If you're just trying to make a quick buck from your local town, that's
yeah.
not what it's about.
No.
And if you have the formula with the right referees and the right amount of tables, because you know how many entries are coming in, you can have that done in a timely manner. I mean, I think we run 320 some odd entries, 350 entries, 3 tables. We're done in 5 hours runtime.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then you got your
That's
breaks.
awesome.
You got your breaks in between, so changing out tables and stuff like that. So call it 6.5 hours. I mean, that's a decent amount of time. It's not too long, not too short. You feel like you're getting something out of it, and the place that you're having it feels like they're getting something out of it. So
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
Absolutely.
was gonna say. Like the one thing that, when I first got into it, it's like location, establishment, with the people that show up, with the amount of people that show up, depending on how it's run, that's a plus. That's a bonus for this. No one's just gonna go there, sit there, not order drinks, not order food, so the build up, the prerequisite for the establishment, I think that would always help. Like, hey, listen, this is because the one thing that I've noticed is a lot of establishments, once the tournament's over, they're like, okay, guys, you got to pack up and get out of here. Well, 90% of the dudes that are hanging out there after pulling would rather be there, still invest into the establishment. But the more you start rushing them out, it kind of dies out that experience. And then you get into those rush tournaments, like the setup you said. And then at that point, I feel like not only are the athletes getting gypped, but so is the establishment. It's
Mhm.
kind of like a lose
Yeah.
lose point.
Yeah,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I
Yeah.
got into love. I love every tournament I've been to. I'm probably one of the last ones to leave. Because I came there not just to pay to pull, but to meet everybody. The camaraderie, the amount of
The connections.
experience, the amount of knowledge, yeah, the passion behind it. It's such a driving passion, and when you start getting less of that because someone just wants to grab a couple of bucks real quick and shut it down and get you going, it kind of puts a little sting on things.
That
yeah, for sure.
dilutes it. Dilutes the experience. And that's one of the things that I have yet to go to an event ran by Tim, but based off of my experience, I don't think this man's wanted to dilute any experiences whatsoever.
No, not at all.
If anything, it's
Not at all.
enriched.
Um,
All right. So one final question, man. This is something I ask all my guests on the show. What is one thing about you, Tim, that nobody knows that is going to be like, wow, I never knew that about Tim? You know, we know you're a ref, you're a puller, we know you're a promoter. What's something that's makes Tim Tim?
um, I mean, I played on the amateur tour for golf for many years. I still enjoy playing golf every week.
Nice.
So I mean, that's
Doesn't
probably
that wreak
it.
havoc on the elbows?
Actually, believe it or not, like I would rather play golf every day after a hard training session because it loosens up everything again.
The
It it
blood.
Uh,
it takes like all the toxins off of your tendons and loosens it up and everything. It's actually really good.
all right, arm wrestlers, you heard it here. Join the golfing club after you're done pulling just to recover. 'Cause I'm all about
Yeah.
creative recovery, man.
I even tell my guys it's funny. I tell them I say, hey, look, like they don't play golf. I mean, one does, but the other two doesn't. but we gave them a golf club to just swing it in their backyard after we're done with practice the next day because it helps a lot. So
No.
if you have a golf club laying around and you practice on a Sunday, go after Monday after work and just in your front yard and swing for like 10 minutes. You'll feel way better.
Well, I'm thinking when I collide with the ball, it kills the elbow, but I've only gone to driving range. I've never done anything beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably trying to kill the ball a little too much, too hard.
Yeah.
Treat
Nice
you
and
like
easy. Nice and easy.
yeah, nice and easy. That's the thing. It's all about control, right? Golfing
Yeah.
is a lot more about precision, control, and timing, and all that. I'm not necessarily good at that game because when it comes to even arm wrestling, I just kind of go, and until I can't go no more. Essentially,
Yeah. No, it's nice.
that definitely is cool. Well, Tim, do you have any questions for us? For me?
Uh, no, Matt, where are you at? You're in Florida, right?
No, I recently moved up to Missouri, so I'm a Missouri
Missouri.
boy.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
All
North
right.
Missouri. I'm like probably about 10 minutes away from Iowa.
There you go. No, I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, Dan, I'm gonna see you at King of the Table. I hope to see everybody out there, and I hope they all show up.
That's Atlantic
Um,
City, right?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah,
sir.
Paul
Atlantic
win.
City.
Paul, I had to ask him because I saw
Yeah,
that it was coming up recently. I would love to try to make it over there. So
yeah.
see if I
And
can
and
get a
and
card.
if anything, next year, man, we'd love to see everybody out at one of my tournaments. Arizona State's June 7th next year. Colorado State will probably be right in September, and then we're gonna mix in an Oregon State somewhere next year, and
Well,
then
Colorado
Washington.
and Oregon is right there, right around the corner for me. So I'll try to get to one of them.
Yeah, and Washington State.
Colorado definitely sounds good because, unfortunately, we always tend to have this marriage of dates, man. Because
Mhm.
the June 7th is when I have my annual barbecue.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
first weekend of June every year.
We do it the first weekend of June every year because we do it the first weekend after Memorial Day weekend because
Gotcha.
the school districts, the kids get out of school here like 3 days before Memorial Day weekend.
Ah,
So then it really opens things up here to do a bunch of stuff. So it just kind of
that
always
makes
falls that
sense.
way. Yep.
That makes sense. Well, Tim, I don't want to keep you on any longer than you need to
Yeah.
be.
Of
I
course.
appreciate you coming on. I look forward to seeing you again in Atlantic City.
Yep.
Everybody, check out King of the Table pay-per-view if you can't make it live. But if you're in the Northeast, I better see your ass there. I better see your ass there.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah, brother.
Later.
So, Matt,
Mr.
what's up, man?
Daniel. How's it
What's up,
been,
man?
brother?
It's been good, man. So, I'm doing the show a little differently today. My counterparter is getting off of work. He's going to be joining us at 9:30, so he'll be jumping in a little bit.
Okay.
But that being said, I also have one of my teammates joining in as well to do a little recap of the weekend and his experience at his first tournament.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's cool
I
to
always love hearing about everybody's first experience. You know what I mean?
right when they pop their cherry. It's definitely a great story.
That's awesome. Congrats to him.
So yeah, no, he's a strong dude. Definitely hungry as they've come. He got bit by the bug and he's stuck, especially under my wing. I'm not gonna let him go anytime soon.
Yeah, your drive is definitely up there. So, somebody to follow up underneath your wing is super blessed. You know what I mean? I've always been super, super impressed with your drive from watching where you came from to seeing where you're at. It's just leaps and bounds from, a lot of pullers. There's even myself, I had an extreme drive, passion, after work, injuries, certain things that debilitated, that mindset. And I feel like you're just on this 100% go all the time. So it's awesome to see your progress.
There's a saying that I say, "No rest for the wicked." I've done a lot of shitty things in my life, but I've also done a lot of good things in my life, and all of it's motivational to me being a better person than I was yesterday. And that actually perfect segue into why you're on the show. Your message one day I'm sitting there scrolling through Facebook, that good old fashioned doom scrolling. Like I'm just kind of in a Facebook hole looking at different things and being entertained by people getting hurt. And then all of a sudden I stumble across this guy talking about positive process. And I'm like, what is this? Project Positive what is it? I gotta listen more into it. And I was hooked. I was hooked by the positive energy. I was like, oh man, this is exactly what I need. I need more of this in my life. Everybody needs more of this positivity in their life. And so that's exactly why I brought you on, man. I want people to know that you exist, that you have a strong message of positive energy, despite whatever hardship that you may have, whatever it may not even be a hardship. It may be a good thing going, but maintaining positivity, because here's the thing. Things may be going well, but some people have that doom and gloom in their mind when things are going too well, that they look for something negative.
Yeah.
I don't see that coming from you. I don't see that. So talk a little bit more about what birthed Project Positive Process. That's a mouthful. They're not gonna lie.
So Project Positive Process. I'm not gonna lie, right? I owe a thanks, because at one point in time, I was doing the videos. The idea from Project Positive Process, before I define what it is, it came from I used to have a message group, or a group message, with a bunch of my brothers. They lived in Palm Beach, and I would send a positive message every day, because we grew up talking trash to each other. And when people get older, drift apart, stop talking as much. And then I started feeling like, man, we don't really communicate on a positive level. We're always like beating each other up. And I was like, I think I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna be like a hippie version of myself, and just be on this positive vibe. And it really stemmed from my father. He used to read me a daily message. He has this book, right? And it just has a good affirmation of, life in general, broad spectrum things. And the idea came from it because I wanted to get into communication with people that I feel like, it just wasn't there, or the lack thereof. And instead of getting at them for why haven't we talked, I just wanted to open up with a positive message. Hey, good morning. Let the sun shine on your face. Be blessed. Well, over the years, communication from people, life happens. So I said, I've got this huge platform, and who I owe a major credit to is my brother Eli. LOST, Flacco Fit, Coach Flacco. That's my brother Eli has been one of my greatest motivators, one of my greatest inspirations, because of the trials and tribulations that man has faced, and knowing the life that we had lived, how he never abandoned me. He always stood by my side, no matter how messed up I was, no matter what, no matter what bad that I was doing, he could always find a way to show me the good in me. And when I started talking to him about, these messages, he was like, why don't you create something, like you've got platforms, like utilize them. And one day it just hit. And I can't honestly, I wish I could remember to the T of how it happened. And I was like, Project Positive Process. And I was like, it's just a basic idea. There is so much turmoil, there is so much chaos, there is so much hatred, there is so much, remorse, so much shame from not, I'm not a clean slate, and for those that are on that know me, they know of certain, things that I've had within my past. And for those that you don't know me, I've lived a pretty rocky road, ups and downs, not only from, my parents, but to myself and siblings and friends. And I put myself through the ringer. And in doing so, I wanted people to see a different light. Like, no matter how much you've put yourself through, no matter how much anguish you've gone through, no matter how much loss you've dealt with, it's a simple concept. And it's not to take anything away from people that just mentally can't do it, because you know, not to topic hop a lot, but mental health is a very, very serious matter, and I don't mean to
Absolutely.
come across stating that just anybody can do it. You know, mental health is a real thing, and some people I understand just that their ticker just doesn't have that click just yet. But I
No,
put these out as much as possible, stating it's just a simple thought. No matter what is coming your way, to just be better than the best you there ever was before that moment. And when asked what the moment is, it's every second that you're alive. Every second that God gives us the ability to live and breathe, gives us another opportunity to just be better than the step we just took. We are free forever creating this character, whoever
yeah,
anybody is going to see. And I feel like the problem that I had the most is I was so worried about the character that everybody was going to see. And
hmm,
and realistic views, the better you just want to look for you to feel you, the best that you can be, the rest of the world will see the light that you are. And
absolutely. It's me versus me at that point, right?
yeah, man,
It's me
it's just
versus me because and that's one of the greatest to tie it back to the sport that we're both members of. That's why I love this sport. While I may not be like I actually just got off the phone with Brian Malik. I don't know if you know who that is, but that's a man I'm chasing at 176 in the Northeast
okay.
region. And every time I faced him, he's demolished me. I come second to him, third to him, whatever it may be. I've lost to him each and every time. But I'm not stopping. And it's not because I want to be better than him. I want to be better than I was the last time I faced him. And each time we talk, he always tells me, "Yeah, no, you're feeling stronger there now." And so it's like a little bit of a confirmation and an affirmation that I am on the right path of getting stronger. So I'm like, okay, I'm not there yet, nor do I think I'm that close to being there yet, but I ain't stopping until I get there.
And that's
And
the moments there, you just got to get there. You know,
yeah,
there any moment that you want, it's already in existence. You put your best foot forward and you can get there. All these moments that you want, they exist. You just got to get there. And the easiest way to do it is just being the best you that you can be, no matter what is thrown your way. You know, at one point in time, I was reached out. Major thanks also to Kenny Thomas. You know, my fresh start up here in Missouri is I owe him a big thank you. Um, and I tied Kenny into this because he's one of the first people to ever reach out to me. I was doing Project Positive Process videos almost every day, and he hit me up personally. And man, I would love for you to come up here. You know, come pull anytime you want my tournament, my next tournament. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, no, you have no idea. Like your videos have like legitimately made me feel like things are better. Like I owe you a thanks. I watch your videos every day. They're very inspiring. And to say thank you, you know, I'd love for you to come up this way. And
you'd be
there
surprised what
was
you what by sharing a positive outlook, what pathway of success that you're paving for somebody else as well. Even though you're doing it for you, there's somebody out there that's going to benefit from it. And that right there, there's a saying that I picked up because, as you know, I'm clean for I'm coming on a year of being clean. And one of the number one things that they say is keep your side of the street clean. And your neighbor may or may not follow you, but don't do it to make them follow you. Do it because it feels good to do so,
nice.
and it's doing the right things for the right reasons. It feels good for me to organize my garage a little bit. Each and every time after practice. Some days I'll be like, oh man, I'm tired. I don't want to put that away. No, I got to put this away. I got to put this in its rightful home. I mean, it's a little chaotic, but it's my organized chaos, if you may.
Right.
And I know where everything is. I know where everything belongs. And if I don't put it where it belongs, that's going to reside in my head, right? So, but those are the little things that you're talking about that add up. Those little messages that you put out there add up and act as a beacon of hope, a beacon of light for somebody like myself and this other gentleman that you're mentioning. That
I'm greatly
uh,
appreciative of it. Like
absolutely.
I know that I've done the videos, you know, for a long time. I had someone once tell me, you know, there was a hiatus. You know, if anybody that was following it saw that I wasn't posting videos and wasn't doing Project Positive Process because it was brought to my attention. Not many people knew about my personal life, and I would say these videos every day. And she goes, not for nothing. Why do you do the videos but you can't live it? And I said, excuse me. She says, yeah, like I hear you gripe about this, complain about this, and but you have all these great videos. Like, things would probably be a lot better for you if you just try to live it instead of just talking about it. And it took me a long time to swallow that pill. I went through a lot of self-inflicted damage within, the year or two, even hearing about that, and I stepped away because, and, a lot of people are like, well, that's when you should have stepped up to let everybody see him. It had nothing to do with me not wanting people to see me. It's the fact that I wanted to be able to see me. And it took for me to have something happen. It just, something triggered. And I said, I need to find a different ground. And when I find this ground, I'm going to live to the fullest everything that I've been preaching because I want for me and my actions to speak for myself, to see. I've heard about these words helping people, but I would love nothing more to see how much more of a life can be lived by the actions taken upon myself every single day. And
Absolutely.
it's just been absolutely amazing. I like the opportunities that have been arising. Um, it's so much more fulfilling to know that I never really thought I was doing what I was doing because I wanted recognition for it. And getting recognition for it had me like so over the top. Now it's all these different opportunities that are popping up, things that like for me going to Beef Brawl, that in itself and getting to pull
I was going
Sarah.
to ask about that. Like you had this amazing opportunity to pull with a national treasure of that resides in Florida. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell us about the beef brawl and the whole experience.
It was like when I first got into arm wrestling, all I dreamed of
How long
was
ago was that, by the way?
I believe 2000, 2000. Well, I've arm wrestled my whole life, but I think my first club, I started out in the Jensen Beach Club. Antonio Growski introduced me to my coach, Chris Rusakis. He's out there, the pole barn benders.
Yeah.
Shout out to pole barn benders. Also, shout out to Kenny's crew that I was invited to, Country Boy Pullers. But my main camp was Chris Rusakis. I owe that man more than he'll ever know. That dude has helped build my character on and off the table, and not just mine. Anybody that encounters that man um, should feel blessed. Chris Rusakis is so knowledgeable, so careful, and just super excited to see you succeed. And that's what drove me to want to be successful. I wanted to hit the main stage. I wanted to show coach. I told him within a year you will see me at nationals. Unfortunately I
Good
had gotten
shit.
injured. I overworked myself. I blew my back, had to have back surgery, came back soon after my first back surgery, re-injured myself again, this
Oh,
time. So in between the two back surgeries that I had and then blowing my left arm, I had almost like a 2 year hiatus. Prior to that 2 year hiatus, I was number 4 in the state of Florida, left arm, I think between fifth and eighth with my right arm in the 176-pound class. And I did that in less than a year.
wow.
I
That's awesome, man.
was wanting to skyrocket. I wanted to hit the main stage.
You were
And
hungry. You were
I,
hungry.
I had no idea the time that I took off to recover. And just a simple match. I was called out by someone. Kudos, hats off to him for showing up. But I was dedicated to win that first match. And Mike Katoya, much love to him. He saw me, my presence, my presentation, saw that I was there, back like how I had been. And he opened up the opportunity and said, "Hey, man, would you be interested in the Beef Brawl event and, to pull Sarah?" And I said, "Absolutely." He's like, "Wait, with like no hesitation." I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And most people are like, yeah, I've heard both sides, and everybody will be like, how could you be a man to pull a woman? I said, first and foremost, that woman is an athlete. When I'm competing in a sport, I know there's so many different discrepancies. I'm not here to convince anybody otherwise. I love my views, and they're not going to change for anybody else because I once said, and it was recently, that there is not one man walking this earth that taught me how to be a better arm wrestler than my own mother. She helped me gain more strength on a table and off the table than any man walking this planet. So for me to think otherwise or less of a woman that is an athlete, she works her ass off. And if y'all seen
Yeah,
that match, like that is an incredible specimen on a table. So man or woman, when you put that type of dedication in and you're willing
yeah,
to work up on the table, I would never say no. And for such an opportunity, I'm like beyond myself. I hit a main stage. I've only been back from my injuries. I've had a few practices. I haven't even hit a tournament yet from my last injury. I had a right hand match. I won, and then immediately after, I get to hit. Technically, that for me, that's my main stage. I hit my first main stage pay per view with an 8-time world champion. I'm completely beside myself. I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity, and yeah, amazing.
I watched her at the after pull at Knuckles Up. I gotta tell you, man, she had some serious power, and she had some serious like she was pulling everybody. Everybody was pulling her, and like both men
Speed,
and women were. She was dominating them all,
dude.
and
Speed and
so
variety
kudos
behind.
to you.
Thank
Kudos
you.
to you for taking like stepping up to the plate because I listen. I understand, some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the pushback you might get from the
Yeah.
community for doing so.
Yeah.
Those people don't know who she is. They don't understand her as a puller, as an athlete. Sarah Bachman is an absolute monster of a human on the table. She really has a lot of intensity that is unrivaled by most guys that are 200 and under. Yeah, I gotta tell you, like I watched her manhandle even super heavyweights. There were guys. So kudos to
Honestly,
you.
like I had told her because, I'm in the transition from Florida to Missouri and, new work and I've been working on property and I said, look, my left, surprisingly, when I first started out, my left was my go-to. Because I'm a right-handed guy. I've batted right-handed. I've thrown football right-handed. But when you step on an arm wrestling table left-handed, you're in a right-hander sports player composition. So my body just naturally knew how to stand and focus on the table lefty. It took me forever before I got any sort of synchronicity with my right. And because I was training so vigorously right, my left, I ended up injuring and whatnot. And not to take anything away, like I could have probably been peak condition, fully recovered, and still would have caught an ass whooping that day. But because of it, it's I love these little nuances of the sport. When something like that happens, you're like, okay, well, I know I haven't been doing this, or I can be doing this better, and the avenue, the room for growth. There is no cap to the limit of what you can accomplish in this sport with time, dedication, focus, and ambition. And I've got a newly, like, I already had the flame lit up underneath my ass to get going again, but having that experience is very, very humbling and exciting all in the same time for me, because like I got to feel that power, and it wasn't on a practice table. It was a real ready go, ready hit. Like for me, man, like that's like big time for me, because now I know what kind of to expect now. Whenever I start hitting these bigger stages, I kind of got the nerve out, and it's such a fulfilling situation to have been able to encounter, and super grateful, super thankful for everybody that was involved. The event was phenomenal itself, and but I did tell her, not for nothing, I want a rematch, 6 months to a year.
There
I'll,
you go.
I'll
There you
have
go.
stuff situated, my living situation good. Not to say that it isn't good, but I was in the process of doing, my move and whatnot. And I said, I'll be solidified. I have my table set up. She's
There
right
you
here
go.
next to me, so my training has begun, and it's to say for anyone and anyone, I'm ready, and that's what it is that I'm doing, because I loved the feeling, and it wasn't because I begged for it. It wasn't because I cheated my way through anything. It is
No,
legitimate.
you earned it, and
Oh,
I
okay.
will tell you, you earned the love from another one of our viewers, Craig Soublier,
Oh,
over
I
out in
love him.
Florida. Much love to him. He sends in a heart for you, showing you
That's
some
my
love.
dude. Craig.
I, good
Whenever
man,
I
right there.
whenever I slack on my project positive process, without a shot of a doubt, if I can open up a Facebook scroll and Craig's right on point. That man has amazing words. His story super phenomenal. Clicked with Craig, right off rib. I've got nothing but love and respect for him, and I always tell him he's gonna get dominated one day by this little guy. Whatever.
I, I
Um,
gotta make it down to Florida to grip up with that man.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
in a few moments, we're gonna have Dan.
offers a lot.
Also, just want to share with you. In a few moments, we're gonna have Dan, my training partner, Dan Citrella,
Okay.
the new guy. Uh, he's gonna be joining us in a few moments. He's coming on, and then Steve Fernandez of YORK Tri-state Armwrestling. He's also gonna be joining us, as well. So I just
Hey,
wanted to just
and,
give you the
and
heads.
not to interrupt before I forget, right? Because I'm always trying to make sure I cross my T's and dot my I's on my level of appreciation for everybody in my life. I also want to say thank you to my girlfriend Sherry. She has stood by my side through one of the most important transitions that I've had to make, and it is such a phenomenal feeling to know that when you have someone that is willing to stand by your side from states away, it's leaps and bounds of a difference what you can accomplish in life. So I love you, babe.
I,
Thank you.
I can appreciate that tenfold, as somebody who has, his wife and his son in his corner. My son arm wrestles with me from time to time. He's not the most eager to arm wrestle, but he actually helps me out sometimes with my training. And what I don't have that much heavy weights here to lift, so he becomes my heavyweight. He's a
And
10-year old that's like
where are you located again?
I'm in New York, Long Island, New York.
Okay, well, I've got someone in New York. I'll be reaching out to him and telling him, "Hey, my buddy Daniel needs a few of your weights. I know you're not utilizing all of them, and we'll see if we can't get you a few more heavier weights over there." My brother Eli, I'm pretty sure he might be yelling at me right now, like, "No, man, they're all mine."
Those are my weights.
Yeah, but
Now,
yes,
wanted to introduce Dan, one of my training partners. He's been in the sport for about 8 or 9 months. He had
hey,
his
bro.
first tournament this weekend up at Test Your Frame tournament by YORK Tri-state Armwrestling. Steve Fernandez's production. What's up, Dan? Long
What's
time no
going on?
see.
How
Nice
are
shirt
you?
you got there.
Yeah, I'm repping your,
Hey,
the Pit and Dan the Nightmare since he's the one who been coaching me along with everybody else. But he took the time out when I first got into the sport at Buffalo Wild Wings. He saw me and he's like, "Here, come here. I'm going to show you how to do this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And he explained it very well. He goes, "You're strong, but you need to learn how to do it because you can hurt yourself very easy."
yeah,
And I said, "Okay." And he showed me the way, and that's what we're working on. And that's what he preaches, be safe and put everything out there. And 8 months later, I went yesterday and Saturday that was with him, our other training partner, Andrew, and had my first tournament experience and was eye opening. And I did pretty well. I got two third place finishes and a first place finish in 240.
get out
So
of
it
here!
was cool.
Congratulations, man, for your first tournament. Like, hats off to you, dude. My first tournament, I got flash pinned with one arm, and I got bogus call with my other one.
Yeah, well,
I,
that
I
was
keep
my
telling these
left
guys
arm.
that
I got the same way. First experience, bam. I'm like, oh, okay. But then it was right. He was a different story. So I was like, okay, I felt better.
Nice.
I keep telling these guys my first 8 months of tournaments, I was getting flash pinned right and left armed. I did not get anywhere where these guys are. I was like, I need to help these guys out in ways that I wasn't helped out, that I had to learn on my own. Because that's the other thing is when you become an individual thinker and you don't just follow what everyone else does. Sometimes it's hard. It's hard to teach you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the best of students. But you learn to become a better student as you're improving yourself, improving what you're trying to do.
Oh, especially with the more events that you go to, because that's
Yeah.
my love for the events. That's one big practice. After the tournament's all said and done, in between, it's just another giant practice, and you're learning from everybody that is there, how they're taught, how they pull, and there's just like an endless stream of different avenues that you're learning from that you don't get at your normal practices. So, I mean, the love for the sport predominantly is because of that. Like, you're forever learning from so many different people. It will always teach you that there is no cap. You are your only cap. You're your only limitation.
Yeah, thank you.
I,
That's what everybody's been preaching. And then Saturday, Nick Stone was there. He was a
Oh,
guest
that
at the
boy's bad.
table. Yeah, he was a big boy, man, and he gave me pointers, and it's just like he was the power lifter, and he got into arm wrestling. So because that's how I used to train more on the bodybuilding's powerlifting side, and I just said I can't kill myself anymore with that. So now this is taking that place, and it feels great. And last night's practice was the first time I felt the way I felt in a very long time training wise. So it's pretty cool, pretty
That's
happy, and
yeah.
big things to come. But that's
yeah.
on the horizon. We have a lot of stuff. Me and Dan have a lot of stuff planned, and a lot of stuff with Steve also, and Jaron, who's also going to be running the event that Dan has his next super match at, and
Where
a
is that
lot of
at?
things going on in this area. So it's a lot.
So,
It's good, and a lot of people are going to be involved, you
so
included.
the next super match that I have is actually going to be Battle at B Dubs. We're bringing arm wrestling back to Buffalo Wild Wings, and this guy I'm going up against. Talk about a hungry dude. This guy's about just under a year in the sport competing. I think he actually will be hitting a year at this event, and he is the only one I took losses to at the Jason Vale strap only tournament. Oh, lost the phone again.
Yeah,
um,
dog
it's all good.
chases.
And and so this guy, he's young. He's got a lot of energy. I call him the young gun because
Okay,
he's got like freaking arms of steel, but doesn't mean anything to me because I'm gonna let my experience show.
right.
Um, I'm gonna remind him that experience does outmaneuver raw power. Even though he's got some raw power, and he's got a great coach. Not to say he doesn't have experience under his belt from his coach, but the time in the sport does mean something, in my opinion. And I'm going to show that the time that he's dedicated versus the time I've dedicated. There's levels to this shit, and I plan on
Right.
showing that to him.
And you say he
uh,
has what, a year in it
yeah,
into
he's
this?
got about a year. I got 4 years in.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
So
Get up. All right, I'll be tuning
thank
in. I don't know if I can make it over to New York by November. That November 27th. That's awfully close.
yeah, no, it will be live streamed on the Urban Arm Wrestling channel. Um, they're going to be on, I believe, on Facebook. I will post it all over the place where when I get the links out. So stay
We
tuned on my channels. I plan on putting this on blast because I mean super matches at Buffalo Wild Wings. Doesn't that sound something familiar? We did that with WAL, so I'm
beautiful.
looking forward to that. And then that's just one. In all honesty, it's one stepping stone closer to taking me to the Great American Bash in Tennessee. Lorraine Jenkins and Chris Griffith over in Beast Mode Arm Wrestling. They're throwing on this mega tournament. Talk about mega. Talk about test of stamina. 30 to 35 man bracket. It's just going to be just hell on wheels on the arm wrestling table,
Right.
essentially, for my elbows. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Definitely looking forward to it.
I can't wait till I get my recognition back up, and because 165 is where I think I'm at right now, so I'll be bouncing
Okay.
between 165, 176, and once I get back into tournament fashions and start, solidifying some more wins, I would love nothing more than to catch an invite to that one.
Um, so I think Sherry Brown, just real quick to the chat. Sherry Brown, that's your Sherry, right?
Yep, that's my Sherry.
That's your Sherry. She's sending her love in the chat to you. We got the Lucky Ones podcast in the chat. What's up, Lucky? She's saying, "Hey, what's up? Looking forward to seeing you at the. I think you're going to be at the Tennessee event, right? Um, hope to see you there." So I know I said Steve was going to join us, but he hasn't as of yet. I think he's just probably getting home as we speak right now. But with that being said, um, Dan, you said you had a background in powerlifting, right?
Well, I
Oh,
my buddies
bodybuilding.
more bodybuilding. That was what I was training for, and then I unfortunately had to have hernia surgery, and my daughter was born 7 years ago, so that put me off track. And then after that, I just never had the time, and life happened, so I had to take off the
Gotcha.
training that way and focus more on taking care of what I had to take care of. So that's why I'm getting
Competitive.
back into the gym now. I wanted to, a baseline, and Saturday was the perfect baseline. So I understand how a tournament works. The reactions, so I know what to work on now.
How do you feel that translates from powerlifting into now what you've learned? Because, like, obviously, powerlifting, you have your obvious strengths, your bicep curls, and your bench press. How well do you feel? Because I've heard mixed feelings about it, but for you personally, how well do you feel like your powerlifting experience translates to table time?
Oh, well, without a doubt, the way I actually trained was functionality training. So they made sure, because they saw how big I was, because when I was my biggest, I was like 260 plus. So, but I was also very functional, doing diamond push-ups, box jumps, burpees, you name it. My trainers had me going. So that, in fact, kept me very well. But to answer your question, the hammer curls, I did a lot of hammer curls. I did a lot of cable work. So a lot of squeeze and pull. So I didn't realize until about a couple of weeks ago how much it impacted, the arm wrestling, and how much it worked, because I can pull people halfway across the table and just stand there, and it's like,
Beautiful.
oh, how you doing? And it's like, that's because I do 95 or 125-pound hammer curls. So I didn't realize it until it all clicks, because that's how it works. It's repetition, repetition. And it's like, damn, wait, I remember this movement.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
So I think it's a
it's
big part. And it's also form, and it's just years. I'm 40 years old. I've been training hardcore for 20 years, so half my life. So
Awesome.
experiencing as a coach, somebody's light turning on, that aha moment, and then they actually put it into practice. That right there is greater than any dollar amount that I've ever received, because it's like, dude, this right here. This is why I do this. This is why I do this. I get to see and experience this guy who's trying to, take apart a Rubik's cube almost, and then says, "Oh wait, all I got to do this, and that solves the problem." And it's really cool to experience and witness as a coach.
Right.
So
Once
Dan's,
once you see the click lock, when the lock, right? That
yeah,
first initial, oh, that's what you mean. And mind you, that will happen multiple times because it's
yeah,
forever changing. There's always enhancements. Shoot, I was just told the other day when I was at the beef brawl, from a buddy of mine, Brad Grundy. He's like, hey, you know how, like, you're always setting up like this? He's like, stop. He's like, you need to do this. And I'm like, okay, well, how so and why? And then when he showed me, it was one of those moments. It was another click. Like
aha,
when I figure out how to get that dialed in, all right, cool, we're on to something. So I mean, I love it because everybody that obviously that dude could probably pull me across the table with his pinky, but he'll still take the time out to show me what it is that I can be doing better. And that's what I love the most. Each and everybody that I've ever encountered, that knows where they are in their dominant positions, um, in the sport. I've never been turned away. I've never been said, "Nah, get away from me." So that's awesome to have, and I'm thrilled and excited, especially at 240. That is not an easy class, you know, um,
No,
to say the least. So high
they're
five to you, man.
monsters in that class.
I'm glad. I'm so glad that you got to get that experience on both ends. So that's super awesome, and I can't wait for many more to happen for you guys.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
it's
exciting.
he's
Sorry.
Dan is just coaching me the right way. So now again, I see what the 240 class. I like this. I don't want to go into the super heavyweights because
Not
those are
yet,
some
right?
big boys. I mean, the after pull. My buddy Andrew, he's a beast, and he's fully healthy, and it's going to be a tear for him because I had to face him, and he killed me. And but I trained with him, so I knew what to expect.
Fair
But
enough.
it's those are big boys. That's 30 pounds on me, 35 pounds plus, and then 305-pound guys. So that's a big difference. I could, if I had to, I would even cut down to 220, 225 because I have been there, but I just don't feel as strong as I do right now.
Fair enough. Yeah, stay where your comfort is. Dial it in, and you already have certain strengths. Now, when you start, the clicks will start happening more, especially after doing so well at your first tournament and only 8 months in. When you hit your 2 year mark, it's going to be leaps and bounds of a difference. It's just solely on your powerlifting experience, and you
Absolutely. Yeah.
having that synchronicity already clicking this early in the game. It's awesome, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, we had an
And
aha
he's got a lot
moment
of
last
tools
night.
available to him. He's got
Right?
a lot of tools. He's got this. He's got. I mean, look at this man's hand. This guy's got a massive hand.
I don't know,
Massive
man.
hand.
I think mine might outdo for one between
I
one
got. I got the
All
little
right,
one
that's
here.
165.
fine.
I got the little tiny
I do
hands,
work
man.
with my. I'm sure you work with your hands too. I work with my hands.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the damage that I occur,
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Wow.
it's just compound. So by the time I get to pull on the table, I've had several people tell me, like Mike Aiello, even he was like, dude, you have abnormally freakish hands for one. He was like, how much do you at? When I was in Virginia or West Virginia, I went to one of Travis Bajan's tournaments. I think I showed up at like 160. And he's like, "There's no fucking way, man! Like, look at the size of this kid." So he's grabbing me by the wrist and like showing everyone, like, it feels good, because even at the last tournament or this last event that I was at, I was blessed, and everybody was like, "Dude, the hardest part is getting this trained, and you have a monster mitt and it is super strong. Now you just got to dial in the rest of it." So
Got to
that
coordinate
makes
it
it the
all.
easier part. So
That was one of the things. Like I was never well endowed with my hand size. My hand size is tiny, but I always had a strong hand and
nice.
strong wrist, and so I needed everything else to catch up with it: the forearm, the bicep, the shoulder. I mean, I was just talking to Dan about this at practice. Looking at a picture, I'm like, holy shit, are those my shoulders? It looks like I'm wearing shoulder pads in comparison to what I was like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And like it's everything's starting to catch up. All the little, check boxes. Okay, I have that now. I have that tool. I just understanding the body mechanics is one thing, but being able to physically apply it with the appropriate tools, that's a whole nother ballgame. And I'm excited that I have these things because now I'm like, oh, what's the next level for me? Where's the next level? Because I know I have yet to hit my ceiling, and I'm looking forward, by way of just skill set at the table, but also physique wise. I, you know, I don't, I know we may have discussed this, in the past, Matt, but I lost over 100 pounds, right?
Yes, an
I
awesome.
lost over 100 pounds. And so I'm still literally just cementing in where I feel most comfortable at weight. I mean, last year I dropped back down to all the way 154s, and that was just too light for me. I established that. I think 176 is where I want to be, like sitting at like
Nice.
170 at the top of the class, 179, walking around comfortably at that weight. And I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling prepared and ready to take on the world.
That's
And
all.
it's a great experience of back and forth, learning. Okay, if I put on a little extra weight, how do I feel with this? if I cut a little bit extra weight, how do I feel with that? How easy is it to drop this kind of weight? How much time should I do it safely?
Yeah.
And
See, that was one thing I never had to worry about is the cut weight because in Florida, bro,
oh
I
yeah,
couldn't retain my weight. But coming up here to Missouri, I can't wait to see how well I can. I've always showed up and I'm at the bottom of the class. Like if it's the 154, I'm like 149. You know what I mean? I'm like right at the cusp. The 176s, I was like the lowest weight, like 166. So I was always outweighed 10, 12 pounds by everybody. So because I just couldn't gain the weight. I just couldn't do it. And when I would try to cut the weight, it would hurt me. Like if I was in the 176s, I'm like, okay, I got 3 pounds left to go. That whole dehydrate, I'm already dehydrated when I was in Florida. You know, there is no more water weight to cut. And essentially that's how I first sustained one of my first back injuries. For my first surgery, I was trying to cut weight for a tournament and I was doing my
oof,
stretches in the back porch. And because my body was so dehydrated, when I went to stand up and pick up my yoga mat, my back blew out. I had
oh,
the back surgery. So
ouch,
needless to
ouch.
say, now that I'm not in that environment, I barely sweat a stitch, and I work my ass off up here. Don't get it twisted. Like I put my hands through my body through it, and I'm super excited for my first tournament pool, is all I got to say, because I feel like I will actually be able to walk in at a weight that is decent to contest. And not that I should have that mindset, it should be my skill and my power that gives me the excitement. But there is always that little ticker in the back of my head, like, damn, not for nothing. If I would have been able to pack on 5 more pounds, I think I would have done a little bit better.
What's your next tournament gonna be?
Honestly, I think I was talking with Kenny. I think he said Washington or Illinois State was coming up soon, right? In January, I think. I think one of those tournaments, I believe, is the next upcoming one that I think I'll be able to make. Um, I haven't really looked into much of it because I've been working on, when I came up to Missouri, I spent a few days, nailed me a job, another few days, found a new living arrangement. Absolutely beautiful. We can get into that another time. But now that I've gotten the job and the environment set well, my mind right now is set on one of my next matches. A gentleman by the name of Michael Ware had asked if I could possibly get a couple of the posters from the beef brawl so he can auction off at a school function. Well, I managed to do so, and they're signed by everybody. And I told him I would love nothing more.
Wow.
Yeah, I said, man, I would love nothing more to be a part of that function. And he goes, well, honestly, I want you to have a super match at the function. And he was like, do you have anybody in mind? And I said, well, it's almost around that time that I caught my ass open last time I came up to Missouri about Kenny Thomas. I said, I think I need to spend the next 3 or 4 months to go ahead and have me a match. I want to run it back. So here in the next 3 or 4 months, once I get all the information drummed up, I asked Kenny if he's cool with it, and he said absolutely. Best of 5 right hand. I'll be running against Kenny the Flash Thomas again, and see if I can't bring the W on my side this time.
Kenny, I gotta shout him out too. Actually, a couple of years back, he helped me get to Olympia. He was one of my
Yeah, that's right.
sponsors.
Sponsored you out there, right?
Yeah, he's one of my sponsors to get me out. So this is a small, tight knit community. Everybody knows everybody here. Appreciate that, man. He's got great energy. He's got a great story. Check out Kenny Thomas on Facebook, Brothers in Arms. He's got a really cool message there. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that because you're right there with him.
Yeah. Well, every year so what I had gathered from Brothers in Arms, he throws this tournament, and the proceeds go to less fortunate people that are in need, people that have had issues. And like I legitimately watched them take proceedings, and they had donated it all. Just I can't remember the name of the thing. I feel bad. Kenny's gonna kick my ass, but they had just basically had lost everything. And it's the idea of helping. Like we're all brothers in arms. We're all in it. We're there with each other. And if you have it, then if I have it, you have it. And he just was going out of his way and taking care of a lot of folks with everything that he was doing, working with that. And Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I've, just recently came up here, so my hands ain't too much into anything that Kenny had already going on. I can't really much speak too much on his
On what
established.
he's doing. Yeah, no, but
Yes, yes,
it's definitely something worthwhile.
absolutely.
Eventually, I'm going to get him on the show and to talk a little bit more about it because, I'm all about helping the community. I have a barbecue event that I do every year. Every year, I do a collaborative networking event to help out the community with the sport of arm wrestling, as well as local businesses, try to get their names out there. And that's my biggest effort that I try to do to help people, get more awareness. And we do a raffle every year. And this last year, we donated 3 different, all proceeds of the raffle were donated to all these nonprofit organizations. Athletes Are Human was one of them, which is all about mental health care for athletes.
Absolutely.
Um, on a college, high school level, as well as then there was a fundraiser for an arm wrestler whose life was taken from us too early from a drunk driver up in Connecticut. And then a drug and rehab center in Brooklyn, a treatment center that I hold near and dear to me in Brooklyn, New York, called Dynamite Youth Center. So I love the idea of helping the community out, and that doggo looks adorable.
Hey,
Gotta
That's my
have
boy. Come here.
everyone
He hears everybody talking. Come here. You can come. You can just talk. Come
come
here.
say hi. Come say hi, doggo.
Come say hi.
Hi,
oh,
puppers.
Puppy.
Oh, that's a cute doggo.
That's, that's
Petey.
Junior.
We're a bunch of angry arm wrestlers, right? But we see a
Right.
doggo, we just turn to mush right away.
Yeah, he's my attention hog. If I spend too much time, paying attention to anything else, he'll start. He's pawing at me like, "Come on, man! Pay
I'm,
attention to me.
I'm,
I'm
I'm
moving."
here too, man. Real
Uh,
quick though, I gotta shout out the chat. We got Brian Parliament of Through the Fingers podcast, one of the guys that runs that show in Canada. Matt got the pleasure of meeting him over when I went to Montana. He said my hand looked good. Thank you, appreciate that. Um, And then we got Aphasia telling Dan
That's
C
my
that his
brother.
brother, okay, your brother and the entire Twitch team are waving at you, checking
nice.
you out. We got Marianne Centrella
That's my
saying
mom.
hi. Hi, Mom. What's up,
Mom,
Mom? How's it
mom.
going? And then Lucky Ones is just confirming that the Washington States is happening December 7th.
December 7th. Okay, so December 7th is probably my next tournament. That
Oh,
There
I'll
you
cool.
go. That's gonna be a big one. That's
yeah.
gonna be a big one.
All right.
Absolutely. That's
Are you
exciting.
going to be pulling left, right,
I do both.
or
I pull anytime I go to tournament. I pull both. Unless I have an injury. Because I have the match with Kenny coming up in 3 to 4 months. This tournament is just for me to get back into the swing of things, and then for the next, January, February, March, that'll just be me solely focused on training my right, because that boy is fast and he hits hard. So
okay?
yeah,
At
yeah.
least you have a game plan. I like that.
Yeah, got to, you can't go in there like I had a game plan the last time, but I kind of had backed off the pedal a little bit because, in my mind I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a good old time. And when we locked up on the table, he let me know, yeah, we're gonna have a good time, but I'm fixing to show you, where you're lacking, sir. Because we used to talk trash to each other all the time. And he's like, look, man, all the weights that you're lifting ain't gonna help you. You need to get up here and I'll show you a few different things. And that boy showed me a few different things. And so I'll be excited to be able to repay the respect.
That's cool. Good for you. Look
Thank you.
forward to it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I look forward to being able to pull the both of y'all. That's why I'm. I think you said first week of June you do that event, right, Dan?
Yep. So it's gonna be June 7th.
Yeah.
We're working on a couple more details. Exact location is still to be determined. But part of the reason why I asked Tim all those questions about tournament format is because I'm gonna try something a little different here on Long Island. I normally host like super match, challenge match style with a big open practice, but I'm going to change it up a little bit and make it actually a no elimination tournament, like a round robin type of
Nice.
deal.
Well, count
Because
me in.
not for nothing, it's not easy to get to Long Island, and I understand that. And the entry fees sometimes don't consider the tolls to get here and the expenses to get here. So I'm actually lowering the entry fees as well because this is my first tournament that I'll be hosting, and I'm not looking to make much money off of this. In all honesty, I'm not looking to make any money. What I'm looking to do is provide a day of arm wrestling nonstop from the moment you get here to the moment you leave, and keep going until you can't go no more. And that's kind of like what I love about hosting these events. And it being my 5th year, it's been asked many times by many people who've attended it, when are you going to turn this into a tournament, Dan? And after talking to a few people, I reached out to the Table Monkeys guys. I'm going to get coaching on how to run a no elimination tournament.
Nice. So
Making
first June 2025. If my brother's still tuned in, not sure if you are, I'll be visiting New York. I'm gonna need a place to stay because I'll be entering, Daniel the Nightmare Sports no
Oh
elimination
yeah.
tournament. You'll be seeing me in New York come the first week. Haven't
nice.
had an
Uh-oh.
opportunity to pull you yet, so I'm gonna have to
I
once I get my mindset off of Kenny. I'm coming for you, Dan. I just put it out there.
love it. I love it. I love
You
it. After my success in Montana, I know I've gotten a little bit of a target painted on my back, and after my success, in just like 10 days, Thanksgiving Eve, because I plan on being successful there, as well as in the Great American Bash in Tennessee.
beautiful.
I'm coming. I'm coming for it all.
That's it. That's it. That's the idea, and win, lose, or draw, you're fixing to learn something.
Absolutely. And coming for it all doesn't mean I'm coming for maybe all just wins. If you notice behind me, I actually separated. I only have 2 golds. Everything else is second and third place. And it has not discouraged me one bit.
Yeah,
One
likewise.
bit.
That's like funny enough. I just so happened to set these up prior to even knowing about the podcast, and I've got my little shrine dedicated. There's only one second place, one first place. That's a second. These are first and second. 2 first place, second. Third. Like I think I only have 1 or 2 first place. And
Yeah.
my second and third place goals hold just as much of importance, if not more, because of what happened for me to get them.
To get
Um,
there. Absolutely. Who
yeah,
you had to, run through, who you had to survive through.
tell me about
it definitely paints a beautiful story in that regard.
You still
And,
had to perform to get it.
yep,
absolutely,
without
absolutely,
a doubt.
and
Without
that's
a
what
doubt.
everybody. I don't care who you are on the table. There was once upon a time this dude, he had said something foul like, oh, arm wrestlers or people that could make it in a sport or something. And I got irate because I just left West Virginia and I seen a paraplegic man, right? They helped him up to the stage. And I watched this man wipe the freaking floor clean with everybody that he was pulling against, one after another. And I said, let me tell you something. That man that got rolled up to that table in a wheelchair stood for more than you probably ever have in your life. And to watch somebody with that much enthusiasm to kick so much ass, it's not just luck and it's not just man versus woman. It's not none of that, man. It's athlete. You are a professional athlete. You take yourself serious. Some people use it as a hobby, but this is a professional sport, and if
And
you want to, you have the drive in order to establish yourself as far as you want to go. That the options are endless.
that,
Absolutely.
and that right there, I wanted to speak on that for a few moments. Is you said there's people who use this sport as a hobby. There's room for that. There's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
There's nothing
exactly.
wrong with it because I got guys come that train with us that never compete, or they compete once a year, if that, just to
Yeah,
kind of see where they're at. And they're not interested in getting to the next level in competitions. They're just interested in just participating and being a part of something bigger than themselves. And that's what I love about the sport.
it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
What up, Atlantis IRL? He's in the chat. Oh, and your brother said you got me and the team for promos, Matt.
Beautiful. All right. Much
There
love,
you
T.
go.
Much
There
love.
you go.
Yeah,
Um,
hey, my brother does very, very great. He's phenomenal social networking and different things that he's into. Logoing his artwork's phenomenal. Daniel, if ever in need, reach out to my brother, man. Talk to him about a few things that he ventures off into. He'll preview you into a few things that I can't really speak on because I'm technically retarded. Sometimes I'm slow. Excuse me for the PG-13s. But yeah, no, he's just an all around amazing artist, and he's definitely got avenues that could possibly help you in your future ventures, especially since you're in his backyard.
that's awesome. Where in New York is he?
Bronx. Oh wait,
Bro-
I think he's in Queens now. I don't
Queens.
know.
Okay,
I think
that's
so.
very far. That's a hop, skip, and a jump for us.
Yeah.
I'm on Long Island, so like I literally like at most I'm probably an hour away at most, depending on where in Queens. So cool. Definitely, let's get connected. I would love that. And this right here is why I do this is because you never know who is gonna be in your life that you can help and they can help you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
absolutely.
We got a good question actually here, and I'm going to ask you both because being that you guys have eclectic experiences to bounce this off of, what are your opinions about Brian Shaw getting into arm wrestling?
Fucking love it. I love it. Sorry. If you want to take the table,
No,
go
no,
for
go
it.
ahead. I'll go ahead.
I absolutely love it because his energy in itself is through the roof. He just seems like the biggest effing teddy bear, man, and he's the world's strongest man. And watching him train with Devin a few times, watching him go against Eddie Hall a few times, that man's drive when he said, "I'm gonna be the world's strongest man," he put his mind to it and did it. So I would love nothing more than to see that same ambition to be the world's strongest man, to be the best arm wrestler. Like, how crazy would that be? That he's got all the tools, massive hand, one of the fucking craziest grip strengths, um,
Six
the
eight,
lever.
380.
Yeah, like he's got so many
The
things
monster
that you
human.
lost off. To see him get into tournament fashions, super match fashions, I can't wait. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's
I
it's going to bring a whole new eyes on the sport, and
Yeah, fan
I know
base.
how big he is with the powerlifting and the world's strongest man. Look at his event. He started his own event, the strongest man on earth or whatever. Uh, and this is his second year, and it blew up, and it's just it's even more amazing. But I can't believe his size. I want to see how big he is, and I want to see how he can get his form because we all know he has the strength. So it's all about the technique and the form, and let's see how he's going to do. I mean, Eddie Hall's shorter, but he's training. He says he's training. And those European, they train like how they train.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
I
I
mean, I
enjoy
know
that
he has Neil
he's
Pickup in his
opening.
corner. I
He,
know he's got Neil Pickup in his corner, but I don't know. I feel like Shaw's got a lot more tools in his arsenal by way of who he's learning from and what he's physically capable of doing. Um, and I think that it's definitely like you said, Dan. It's going to bring a whole new set of eyes to the sport. I think it's going to bring a whole new energy to sport. And like to your point, Matt, this guy's got he oozes enthusiasm whenever like seeing him on the practice table, doing the pulley, like I could see that he's like giddy as a schoolgirl. Like a man that size should not be that giddy, but he is. He's just
but
like
then when
so excited.
yeah, and then when you see the intensity, though, I caught it.
Mm-hmm.
It was only like a 15-second little. The intensity when he was on his
Oh yeah.
pull, I said, "Man, that is going to be a dangerous man," and yeah, I can't wait. Not only just because it's always awesome watching an athlete that's already dominated one sport enter into another sport to see how well they can do. Like I loved watching Larry. I've been watching his progress. That was
Yep.
him in itself, and to see somebody else come from that type of caliber of strength conditioning to bring it over to here. I feel like they bring a whole new arsenal of knowledge behind them in itself, because they're getting taught from the best arm wrestlers, right? They're learning. They have the access to ask the best arm wrestlers, and then in return, because of their knowledge and strength conditioning, they say, "Hey, hold on, it might work out better if you're doing this." So to see the differences of the collaboration, it's phenomenal. I love collabs on so many different levels, and it's awesome to see what that could bring to the sport.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
I totally agree. I mean, his strength and that it's going to be very interesting because then many more people are going to be like, wow, how is he going to train? And then they're going to train for that, or
Right?
so you're gonna. It's just a different world. I can't wait. I want to see how he goes.
I
That's going to
can't.
be the dictate. If
I'm
he
gonna
got
catch that in person. So both Dan and I are definitely gonna be catching that in person. I'm looking forward to,
yes,
you
I
know,
got my ticket today, so I'm there.
And
awesome.
when is that being held?
December 14th in Atlantic City at Bally's.
Okay, that's right. That's the King 13,
King of
right?
the table.
Yeah,
King of the table 13. Now they're gonna have after pool style pools, tournament pools for that, or is that just strictly the event?
I'm pretty sure they're gonna do after polls. Usually, King of the Table events that they do have like an after polls. You hang out. You pull with some of the pros. You pull with some of the guys that are in the attendance.
No.
The way that Tim Talmadge was talking about it, like it's gonna be enough space to house at least 1,000 people. I hope that we in North America blow the freaking lid off this event by way
Right?
of attendance. I want us to make this event, and I think it will with the people who are watching. Brian, people are watching Eddie, people are watching those guys alone. That is going to bring a whole new level of spectatorship to the sport, and um, I'm excited. And real quick, I just want to say that the question that we had asked about why, you know, what our opinions are on Brian, it's from this guy from Montana, Billings, Montana, Jeffrey Toll. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer the question. And he actually asked, why hasn't anyone asked for an interview with him? I think he's been on a few interviews. I could be wrong. But I might reach out and see what kind of pickles stick to that window and see if I can get him to hop on the show because that'll be a hell of a time. Um, and then we got Troy Bounce Fit in the chat. What's up, man? I don't know if Matt, do you know who Troy is? Yeah, everybody knows who Troy
Oh,
is.
Troy follows me on Instagram. I follow Troy back on Instagram. Yeah.
Talk about an energy. So Dan, I don't know, you don't know who this Troy guy is that we're talking about,
no,
but his energy is unreal. His positivity is unreal. His encouragement. He's helped me out as an arm wrestler. He sponsored me. This last year at the barbecue, I had a blow up water slide donated by him. He's been crucial to my success in the sport. Been a really good brother, a good friend.
awesome. I can't wait to look forward to meeting him, pulling him.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like now that I've got myself viewed in a whole different perspective and light, um, my travels will become a lot more accessible, and I want to be utilizing the greater good of Project Positive Process to be able to meet as many people as I can, going from tournament to tournament as often as I can within reason, because my job is very important and my physical health is important, but also hitting these stages is just equally important to me, man. And the differences of meeting people and being able to shed that light, I'm a living testament to it. And I want nothing more not because I want recognition. I want people to recognize themselves. There's so many people that I feel like you have God given talents, and because of something bad that you may have done, you'll walk with your head down and shame yourself for the rest of your life. And that's not what life is. It's a one-time moment that something could have happened. It's not what dictates the rest of your life. It's not what paints you for the rest of your life. You are the artist. You get to paint the picture every second. Every moment you get to wake up, you paint what you're gonna see. Not what happened
Yeah.
a year ago, not what happened a second ago. that's not what defines you. You know, the second that you take that next breath, that is what defines you. So to be able to watch people flourish in this avenue and aspect, I'm super thrilled, and I can't wait to go to as many places and as often as possible to pull as many of you guys as possible.
Um, so Jeffrey Toll actually says he hasn't, to go back a little bit on the Brian Shaw topic, he hasn't done any interviews with anybody now. He's been interviewing with strongmen, but no arm wrestlers other than Devin. But I think he was also on Jake Ward's Aussie Arm Wrestler actually recently. I could be
Nice.
wrong. But to your point, living in the effort is where we need to be.
That's it.
Results don't matter so much as long as you live in the effort. If you live in the effort, because I know for
And now,
me,
do
when I
you?
live in the effort, dude,
Yeah.
the results are inevitable.
Facts.
Now, Matt, now you got a bunch of guys down by you that train, or you like just got you got pulled the machines and
So I've got my table set up right now. You know, I've got my pulleys. I've made, I crafted a few things based off of like Todd Hutchins' training and Devin's training. The gift for my pulley system, and I was utilizing that a lot in Florida. I had a great group of guys that I pulled with. Now that I'm up here in Missouri, I haven't really been able to hit a practice. Been really tied into work and working properties that I was at, and now that I've got it dialed in a lot better than where I was when I first came out, because it was a little scattered, not gonna lie, and wasn't really sure which way I was gonna go, and just by putting my best foot forward, everything's just been lining up. And when I came back from Sarah's event, um, I was told about a practice. It's about 2 hours away. They hold it every, I believe, Saturday. So I'm going to try to make that every other week, because that's kind of, a heavy travel for me to drive sometimes.
it's a
And,
ride.
yeah, until I get the car up and running a little bit better. But what I'm going to start doing is in between, out here in Missouri, they have squares, right? Mercer Square, Trenton Square, Princeton Square. I'm going to start setting up my table
Ah, there you
on these
go.
alternate weekends and
There
just
you
put a
go.
large post up, say, hey man, I'm at this square. If you're available, show up. And I'll be training. It's just to get out and be out in the open, just to have that fresh air. I'll have my table set up, be training pulling with free weights, and I'm going to dedicate an every other weekend type deal for that as well. So probably starting this weekend, if not next weekend, I'll be hitting practices
That,
just wherever I can get my hands on here in Missouri. I know there's David Cunningham, one of Kenny's coaches, and a few other choice guys that are out here. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, I'll be able to start hitting some practices. And when I do, I'll let you guys know where I think I fit in best and where I might be, kind of going more oftentimes than not.
excuse me.
Sounds like a
Awesome.
plan.
Look forward to
The
that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Definitely looking forward to the development. It's when you get a team to train with. Listen, off table, there's a lot of people who do well with it, right? But when you have a team to work with, you can really punch out some
Many
whole.
hands as possible. Get to as
Yeah,
many
as
hands
many.
as
That's my.
possible.
That is my number one recommendation. People always ask, "How did you get so strong so quickly?" I'm like, I went to like about 6 different practices in a very short period of time. You
Right.
know, like 6 different locations within the first few months of practicing and gripping up with as many people as I possibly could. I would go to tournaments knowing that I was not going to necessarily place, but I was going to learn a whole lot. And that's sometimes what you need to do. It's not about winning your first tournament. The fact that Dan did, that's a huge bonus. And, you
Facts.
know, that's not something that's atypical in our sport. Many times,
No,
because it is a humbling sport, more often than not, the people go thinking they have what it takes, and then they go 0-2.
Facts.
I just
I made that
I
first
said I
mistake
was
on my
going in
first
with
time.
open eyes. I win, I win, I lose, I lose. I but it was a
Yeah,
winning. It was winning for me because I needed to know what I have to work on.
Yeah, it's a
So, and
yeah,
I
win-win.
still now it just proves what I need to work on. So that's even better.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. Just
You
great
you've got the
affirmations to
right
that.
mindset. So high five to you, man. Like I'm
And
awesome. I can't wait to see y'all's progress for sure, for sure.
for
Thank you.
anybody who's watching, if you need to find an arm wrestling practice, if you can't afford a table for your own on your own, and you need to find an arm wrestling practice, please feel free to hit me up on Facebook. Daniel Schwartz is my name. You hit me up on Instagram, Dan_the Nightmare. I'm happy to help you guys out. I'm happy to, show you, point you in the right direction. Jeffrey told in the chat, you said you're in Billings, Montana. I think there's a guy named Kevin Playboy Roy that's out of that area, and that's the guy who I just faced in Montana. I think he has practices down in Billings. Look him up on Facebook if you're friends with him on Facebook or on Instagram. I think it's Playboy Roy. Check him out. Reach out to him. Tell him I sent you and that you're looking to grip up and learn more about the sport. Because I want to see the sport grow. And if I could help anybody across the nation or even in the world, because I've developed a pretty decent network where I've connected with a lot of different arm wrestlers all over. And I've been able to encourage people to grow into different training sites. And I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to expand my network. If you have a training site that you want to highlight, you want to come on the show and talk to about it, feel free to reach out to me too, because this is what this channel is all about. This platform is to highlight everything on and off the table. It's a positive light. Sorry, got a little giggle right here because a little comment from Jeffrey told. All we have here is cow, pines, and people like to go swimming during the summertime. So get in line to arm wrestle. You in the snow would be really hard. I'm sure people will find time to arm wrestle. There's a lot of people who are the sport is growing. The sport's growing. I mean, I went to I flew into Bozeman, Montana, drove up to Great Falls, Montana for a really cool super match event up there. So I definitely think that anywhere in the nation, if there's a will, there's a way. I gotta tell you, one of my oldest tables, I've turned it into my training table. I'm gonna show it off real quick. This is the Nightmares Dungeon. Dan's familiar with it. This right here. Look at that thing. It's an old wood table.
Nice.
Shout out to Steve Zell because it has become my pulley table that I have my spring on, and it has been really effective and crucial to my training. So everyone's got to start somewhere, right? And if you
That's what I did.
know how to build something,
I had built a shoddy. I took 4 2x4s with a raggedy ass pallet, and I put like a cloth. That was my first pulley table. I was gifted a pulley that I swung from the ceiling, and I got measurements. I stapled 2x4s and a piece of wood together. That was my very first table, and then I was gifted my brother Jason. I love the kid to death. This table right here is by a gentleman, Steve Lefebvre. If you guys don't know
I know
him,
Steve.
yeah, dude, he's got some of the most phenomenal. I mean, look at the craftsmanship in this table. Solid steel, galvanized. I mean, he does all the work himself. He did all the stitching on this pad. These tables are all one of a kind, and this thing, mind you, okay, it started in Florida. It's up here in Missouri, uncovered about 90% of the time. Have not had it covered on it. There's not a single spot of decay on any of the wood. Yeah, Steve Lefebvre definitely knows what he's doing with his tables. So if you guys are interested in a hand custom, I believe the name for his table is Atlas Arms Tables. That's what he's got here. So
Okay.
Steve Lefebvre, Atlas Arms Table, hand built, custom. Hats off to Steve. And if he ever gets to see this, hey, thank you for getting in touch with my brother, or have him getting in touch with you. And your table's still magnificent, in great shape, and serving its purpose.
There you go. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at the comments in the chat in regards to me going to Bozeman. He goes, I'm so sorry you went to Bozeman. I apologize on behalf of my entire state.
Wow.
It wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of pretty, Lady of Bozeman, the mountainscape, I will say that was definitely a highlight of my trip. I'm not sure, what's wrong with Bozeman, but at least I didn't experience anything wrong with Bozeman.
Somebody else said that to me. up here. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna find out why they call it misery." And I said, "Let me tell you something. Like, and I love Florida. Florida, don't hate on me because of what I'm about to say. I've been in Florida 33 years, and I have sweat more times than I care to remember. Even leaving my apartment to go to a car, and it's flat and just green, artificial palm trees. Right, it just feels like it was just plaster. Right up here in Missouri, man, I feel like I live so. The elevation in Florida in comparison to here it's 900 miles or 800 miles difference in elevation. I feel like I'm living on top of a mountain, beautiful rolling hills, and seasons. Right, I have not sweat. I've been here for a couple months, and I think the hottest it's gotten is 65. It's for me, it's beautiful. I love it. I love it, and I think it's because I'm fortunate to have gotten to the northern side. I haven't really ventured off to the cities. I really don't care to. I like it out in the sticks. It's super beautiful. So Montana is definitely a place that I would love to go to. I hear the
Oh, it's
landscapes.
gorgeous there. It's gorgeous. The scenery there is absolutely gorgeous. It's similar to my experience in Colorado, but definitely different as well.
Oh, man, Colorado is beautiful.
Oh, it's
Yes, it
gorgeous.
is.
I'm blessed that I've been able to experience a lot of different what the United States has to offer,
Yeah.
and for my previous job, it took me to a lot of different cool places. But I gotta say, arm wrestling's starting to catch up pretty quickly because I got into some cool places. I got to arm wrestle in competition in Puerto Rico. Big shout out
Yeah.
again to the Team Arm Wrestling League with
It's
my
amazing.
brothers who were just up here just early this morning. And I've ridden up to Canada. I arm wrestled at the Ottawa Open.
Nice.
Um, I've been to Vegas, which was really cool. Been down to Atlantic City. Been to Arnold's. So I've gotten lucky.
Beautiful.
I've gotten lucky and I've gotten blessed in some really cool venues. But on that list is California, Florida, Texas
We
to
got to
to
add
arm wrestle,
Missouri.
and of
Yeah.
course Missouri.
Hey, whenever you need a spot to come stay at, if there's something up here that's close to where you're gonna be pulling, say, Matt, I need a place to crash, and I got you set up. You're more than welcome to stand up with me for the time being. My arms go out to whoever's ever in need. It's a beautiful thing that I'm gonna be working on here, and whenever the forward progression starts coming to fruition, you can actually see the sights. I'll share more onto what it is, but essentially, it's for those less fortunate that need a retreat is going to be here available, basically for you to be able to recenter, refine yourself, get off the grid, and live life without worry, without stress. And yeah, it's a beautiful occurrence that's happening. So I extend that to any and all. You're in the area and you see fit to wanting to pull and you ain't got nowhere to stay, just contact me, man, and I got you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's what's up.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, we've been at this for about a little over 2 hours. That's usually when I close out the show.
Been beautiful.
I'm sorry Steve couldn't join us tonight. That is the man behind the curtain, behind the magic of New York Tri-state Arm Wrestling. Big shout out to him for hosting a great event. I heard nothing but great things. Very well ran tournament, great experience all around. Had quite the attendance there. Looking forward to
A full
Buffalo
room,
Wild.
yeah.
That's the next one we're going to be at. I hope to see everyone from the tri-state area show up to Long Island at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's a big super match event. I think there's like 8 or 9 left-handed matches, which is like unheard of, and only like 5 right-handed super matches. So there's more left-handed matches than right. That's kind of cool. I'm not
Yeah,
competing.
they're coming out, man. Lefties, everybody used to think like, look, right is king of the hip, but there are so many talented left-handed pullers.
Hell yeah. Some
It just
southpaws out there that put right hands to shame.
facts. That is facts, and I love it. I love how much recognition left is getting now more so than ever, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Both sides of the table are important for me, and should be for any puller. Obviously, you may want to be more dominant with one than the other. You're entitled to that mindset, but for me, I love both sides of the table.
So, Dan, where can they follow and find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram, dancent1298 right now, and but we have other things in the works, and then that'll be going out, and that's where I'll be more arm wrestling based because that's more my personal Instagram for right now. But
Okay.
the arm wrestling one will be coming out shortly.
Beautiful.
There you go. And Matt, where can they find you?
Matt Baez on Facebook, obviously, and then Maximus_PC on Instagram. And mine's just a wild range of me working out, and my positive videos. Predominantly lately, it's just been about sights and positive vibes. Just put your best foot forward and do so with a smile, or don't. The choice is entirely.
It's completely yours. And I'm going to close it out today with just saying your vibe attracts your tribe, and that's why each and one of you guys are on the screen with me.
Beautiful.
I appreciate everyone that's in the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tune in to Thursday night's live practice because we're going back to being live on a regular date basis with practices.
Ugh, I'm
And
sore
also,
still.
before I forget, I almost forgot. A big shout out to the Pit Crew's #1 cameraman of late, Dan, on screen, has been pumping out pictures for us, and I've just been stitching them together in edits. Thank you for the epic content to work with. It has made life a lot easier to be able to jump back into the live world and try to build up a community in that regard. I don't have any of them out here, but as you can see, Dan's wearing one of those shirts. Those shirts are for sale for $20 plus shipping and handling. Anybody wants one, please feel free to reach out to me. Great poster child for the shirt. Appreciate
Yeah,
everyone for tuning in.
I got to get one before I make it to New York because there's no way I'm going to come to pull you without wearing one of your shirts.
Absolutely, man.
That's a good man.
Absolutely.
All right, man. It was
Let's
a pleasure
let's
talking to you. A pleasure meeting you.